Last month, in a modest temple in suburban Sydney, Pinny Ung came with her mother, Mrs. Kang, and her husband Bun to celebrate the Buddha's birthday. I first met them and other survivors from the Cambodian genocide in 1987 after they'd settled in Sydney. Today, the latest bitter debate over refugees is again dominating the media. We decided to revisit these survivors to hear from those so rarely given a voice in the refugee debate.
We don't want to die. We must leave. And that's what, when we determined to risk our life to cross the border, when we escaped, that was extraordinary experience in our life. And yes, of course, the scar, it stay there forever. That doesn't matter how happy, how much you enjoy, it's here with you. I'm going to take it to my grave.
A little over 3 decades ago, Pinny was among the haunted men, women and children who fled the nation then known as Kampuchea, a place that became synonymous with the killing fields. They came across the Thai border in their tens of thousands, starving and desperate, refugees from the Cambodian Holocaust. Under Pol Pot's Khmer Rouge regime, some 1,700,000 Cambodians had perished from execution, war and starvation. A fifth of the entire nation in less than 4 years, many buried in mass graves. In the 1980s, a reluctant Australia took in some of these Cambodians. Today, their Australian children and grandchildren would hardly recognise the traumatised survivors I recorded almost a quarter of a century ago.
Some, like Mrs. Kang's daughter Pinny, took the risk to escape early.
Because she believed that if a success in this escape, that one of our family will be survived from that hell.
And then when we get up in the morning, I just say myself, I can live another one day. Because those years, you don't know when it's your turn to be taken away to the prison. So when you wake up, you're still alive, you suppose we can live another one day. So it's meaning we live day by day. It's something like a bird in a cage. We don't know when they're going to take us away from the cage.
I always optimist. After we get married, after I get married with Pinny, she very sad because she lost her father, 3 brothers and 2 sisters. And then I told her, don't worry, we would get out from Cambodia one day. One day we would get out, The Cambodia never like this, never stay like this. They will change. And I would take her out from Cambodia to live in another free country.
For Pinny and Bun, becoming grandparents is a remarkable achievement for 2 people whose own lives once hung in the balance.
Just between Bun and I, our 2 grown-up daughters. One have 2 children, 2 daughters, and the other one have a daughter. So we expanding so fast.
Yeah? Is it Oladora? Tell me about the mash that you ate last night. I wish I ate some. I wish I was there to eat some.
Yeah, and then we had sausage rolls. Did they make sausage rolls as well? Yeah?
They are very Australian to me.
She's like, just give me my crisps, man, whatever.
Physically, they're Cambodian, but mentally, they are very Australian.
These are delicious. Have some of these, Phoebes.
While their 2 sons are at home, Pinny and Bun's daughters have grown up. Krusna is at home on a rare visit from London with her English husband and 2 daughters. Natalie is married to an Italian-Australian. She has given Pinny and Bun not only their 3rd granddaughter, but Sicilian in-laws.
Do you want me to relieve? Or you just...
That's up to you.
Yeah? Can I just have a cuddle? Thank you. That little bear. Just like a little teddy bear. Goodness.
Oh, dear.
That little bear. My little bear.
Ah, the shift is
Changing shift.
Tell me what you've got in your family. You've got
English, Italian, and Cambodian, Chinese.
an Australian.
And Australian, of course.
Do you feel like you are a representative of multicultural Australia?
I just feel blessed in a way that we all can share and live as a family. Like when my son-in-law came, when I met my in-law in England, when I talked to my other in-law in Italian, I learned from their cooking, they learned from my cooking. I think it's the first thing is food. We eat, we enjoy, and I believe that with the way of we communicate, that it can bring us together too. I think that's what everybody ought to do, but it wasn't planned really.
Sharing a meal with family is still an emotional touchstone for all the Cambodian families we revisited, just as it was 24 years ago. Back then, the bitter memories of Pol Pot's breakup of their homes and enforced communal eating were impossible to erase.
Rarely before was food used so effectively as a tool of control over an entire country. Central to that control was forcing the population to eat in communal kitchens in every village.
In 1976, they collect everything from every house, even spoon or plate or bicycle, everything from it's belonged to property of people put in one place. And then they created a community dining room.
At the so-called dining room, little was served except rice, some vegetables, and a mixture called soup rice, often just hot water with a few grains of rice. No food could be eaten outside the communal dining room.
I try to share my experience with my children, and I told them all the time, what's happened in Cambodia. And I always wish, their life never been through like our life, it's because it's not a very good, it's a sad story and a lot of scar in our heart for all of our life. And I always wish my children or my grandchildren never been through, this Holocaust like my life.
Starvation haunted Cambodia under Pol Pot and the refugees who made it to Australia. The memory of her mother, then her brother, dying of hunger was still deeply painful when I first met Rami Va as a young woman.
That morning when I woke him up, he didn't move. He didn't say anything. His jaw was locked. That's happened to my father too, to my mother, to my auntie. He couldn't talk, and I opened his eyes. His eyes turned fade and half open, half closed. And then I knew again that he's dying. He was dying.
Well, Rami, it's been 24 years, hard to believe. Tell me, what is your family life like now?
Things have moved on incredibly well for me and my family, Marian. 24 years have passed, my God, lots and lots and lots of things has happened. I'm married, my sister's married. I've got 2 children, 2 girls, one who's 19 and the other one is 17 doing her HSC this year. So a lot has happened.
So, Rami, is this Cambodian or Vietnamese or Chinese?
It's an influence of the Vietnamese noodle salad. So, being a neighboring country, we learn from each other food, and yes, and we actually enjoy, because Cambodia is hot, and noodle salad with beef, stir-fried beef is something that we really enjoy eating. Yes. Food is so precious, and we treasure food. We are careful about food. I mean, my children understand, because I explain to them that not to throw food away, not to waste food, because foods are precious for us. We didn't have much to eat during the war. We didn't have much to eat during the communist regime. Your grandparent and your uncle and aunt died because of the starvation. So food here is very important, and to cherish it and to treat it with respect. And every time we have something nice, I often think about them. I guess as the year passed by, I do not think, I started to sort of like wean off thinking of them. It's not as much as the early year when it was very fresh coming here, having a lot to have, but they weren't around to share. But now I just know that they probably, in a Buddhist way, they probably be reincarnated to go somewhere else, and hopefully they're no longer suffering like they were before.
The aching loneliness Rami and her sister Yani felt when their parents, sister and brother died under Pol Pot has been softened over the years in Australia by marriage and Rami's daughters.
Now, have you been progressing with your work, your assignment? Are you sure you're not chat? Huh? You're not? Never?
I hardly chat.
You're not Facebooking on your internet? Swear?
I swear I'm not Facebooking.
Okay, go and call
Like
your
many
sister.
refugee parents, Rami is a driven mother. She's determined her girls will have the security of an education if their world falls apart, because hers did when she was younger than they are today.
When Khmer Rouge took over in 1975, I was 15. I just had my exam, finished my exam. My father was a professor. My mother was a housewife.
On April 17, 1975, Khmer Rouge soldiers seized control of Phnom Penh. At gunpoint, the new regime ordered the city's several million inhabitants to leave and begin a long march into the countryside.
They shoot up in the air and say, "Get out of the house! If you don't get out of the house, we're gonna kill you straight away. Come out of the house." So we all just rush, get our belonging, and children, brother, sister together, and get out of the house. My mother was by herself without my father. And I also couldn't believe that what's happened to us, that we were separated from each other. We felt very bad, very scared of dying. We didn't know what's happened next.
With my girls, I always talk to them that how important it is to have education. No matter what has happened to you, the house get burned down, the possession you have. If you go through war again like me, you have lost everything, but education's always with you in your life. So try to study and get good qualification, become someone that you can support yourself, support your family, and support the community.
Are you a strict mother, do you think?
I'm a very strict mother, and you can get my girl to testify that. But it's all mean well for her, for them to learn the discipline. There's always limits in our life. We can't just be free to do everything as we wish or wanted to do. But they're good girls. They are good girls.
Childhood under Pol Pot was a brutal experience that left deep scars on those who survived.
So the soldier, they decide to...
When I first met Kiang Pao in Sydney, she was barely an adult, but she had witnessed unspeakable cruelty in a child labour camp, including the sadistic execution of her 13-year-old friend.
After that, the soldier, they take a knife and that the point of the gun, that I don't know the knife, or they cut her stomach from this part to this part, and they take 2 fingers, they put in here and then like tear the clothes, tear her stomach out. So all the thing in her stomach is dropped down and all the blood, but she's still alive on that time. And they cut the thigh at her hand, just let she walk around, just walk forward and backward, about 7 or 8 minutes.
Think back since I was 11 years old in that regime. It's very, very bad. I never forget it. But now, think back of that 29 years, 30 years ago, I can't imagine that I'm here today. I might think that I'm died in that time already.
But you have survived.
Yeah, I have survived.
Did you find your hat?
Today, Kiang Pao's life as a refugee in Australia is tough. She is trying to hold together her family in the face of huge financial stress. She frets over her 4 children and is obsessed with getting them educated.
I got 4 children, 3 girls and 1 boy. My oldest one, her name Nicole, 16 years old. Now she living with my ex-husband, with her dad. My second one, her name Jennifer, 13 years old. She living with me. With my second marriage, I have first daughter, her name Roxanne, 5 years old. She's going to kindergarten this year. And the last one, a boy, Justin, 2.5 years old.
Kiang Pao lost her chance for an education when Pol Pot shut down the schools in Cambodia.
This film, shot by a Yugoslav television crew, is one of the few records left of life under Pol Pot. Within a year of the takeover, the Khmer Rouge began transforming Kampuchea into a vast rural work camp. To maximise the labour force, families were split up and the young organised into mobile working units. In winter, they worked on huge dam sites and canal projects. In harvest time, in the rice fields. Kiang was just 11, but she was sent to a child centre. It was in reality a child labour camp.
All of the children, they couldn't go into school. They had to go into work every day. So even me and the other children, they asked for school. They say, if you want to go into school, you want to get any lesson, it's when you're going to work, it's your lesson. It's your school. If they don't teach you how to grow a plant, how can you grow it?
For Kiang and the other children, work started at 3 in the morning and ended late at night.
Sometimes I feel very sorry, I'm crying, I miss them. So I asked the captain of the children, I said, would you mind that you give me one night permission to go in to visit my parents? They said, no, you can't, because even you're going to visit your parents, it's for nothing too, because your parents still alive, it's not your parents, it's dead, that's what they said.
But Kiang's children find it hard to understand the fear of hardship she brought with her from Cambodia.
Yes, Mom. Them is them, me is me. I'm Australian. I say, I know you're Australian, but don't forget your blood, not the real Australian. I know you're born here, you're Australian, but you still have Cambodian blood in there. You should learn and you should compare yourself to other children, to the children. I say, I don't care.
I was just thinking then. As a community liaison officer with Cabramatta Police, Pini Ung believes for many Cambodian refugees, raising children is particularly fraught.
What do you think's been the hardest thing for them to deal with in Australia?
Parenting. Everybody thinks that they want the best for their family, for themselves, for their children. But what is that best? How can you define best? And that's how when we go into different definition of best, like referring to happiness, some people think that I want security with material, with home, but you don't have time with the family. And the children turn into something that they don't really expect it for. And that's when the conflict starts.
An Nguyen's burden is tragically different. He lost 3 of his children during Pol Pot's reign. Only his wife and 1 son survived those terrible years.
3នាក់បាទអត់ទេស្លាប់ហើយតែគេទាំងអស់គ្នាមិនមែនស្លាប់តែកូនខ្ញុំ3ទេកូនទាំងកូនអ្នកស្រុកអីទាំងអស់គ្នានឹង 5000 កងចល័តនឹងទៅទាំងអស់
An Nguyen has found peace in his twilight years in Australia. As a young man in Cambodia, he chased war and conflict. Before Pol Pot's takeover, he was a fixer for Australian newsman Neil Davis in the capital Phnom Penh when the civil war was raging. When we first met him in 1987, he was still deeply traumatised.
An Nguyen is now a refugee in Sydney. Working for Davis on the front line of the war, he was in a unique position to watch Pol Pot's coming to power. This rocket attack outside a primary school in Phnom Penh was one of his last reports with Neil Davis.
វេទនាណាស់កូនក្មេងនឹងធ្លាយពោះចេញបាយកកមកទឹកបលឹមឡើងទឹកចូលដល់ក្នុងសាលាក្របធ្លាក់មកដល់ទាំងអស់ដែលខ្ញុំរាប់ពើនឹងនៅកន្លែងភ្លាមហ្នឹងឃើញ8 ដណ្ដប់ហើយអាល4ទិញទួយអត់និយាយពីអាស័យដាក់ឡាន8 ដណ្ដប់ហើយអាល4ទិញទៀតមកសាលាសឹងតែទាំងអស់តាំងពីគ្រូឡើងឈាមពេញឲ្យខ្លួនទាំងអស់មកសាលាហ្នឹងសើទាំងអស់
In April 1975, Neil Davis escaped Cambodia with the Americans as Pol Pot's forces took over Phnom Penh. An Nguyen refused to go without his family and was left to face the horrors of the new regime.
An Nguyen's 3 eldest children were taken from him to work in the Khmer Rouge youth camp. The day they were taken was the beginning of a nightmare.
អត់បានជួបគ្នាបងប៉ុន្តែពីមុនមកខ្ញុំមានបានប្រាប់ថាបើសិនជាខ្មែររុះវាយកទៅណាផ្សេងទៀតត្រូវតែរត់គេចមកឲ្យមកជួបជុំម៉ែឪផ្ទះប៉ុន្តែវាមិនជឿថាគេយកមនុស្សទៅវាយមនុស្សចោលវារៀនចេះដឹងដែរថាដំណើរប្រទេសណាយកមនុស្សទៅវាយចោលអញ្ចឹងម្ល៉េះវាទៅនឹងទៅតាមគេតាមឯងនឹងទៅវារួចទៅក្រោយមកគេនិយាយប្រាប់ហើយគេថាពួកកងចល័តយកទៅវាយចោលអស់ហើយម្ល៉េះដល់ពើទឹកបឋមលិចភូមិលិចអីអស់លីងទៅអត់ឃើញមកហើយចាប់តែអត់មកអត់ហ៊ានណានិយាយទេកូនអ្នកស្រុកក៏មានងាប់ដូចគ្នាអញ្ចឹងដែរ
Today, An Nguyen has found some measure of peace, but it does not mean he will ever forget his children who perished.
អាកូនបងនោះបើឥឡូវ55ហើយ
56វាកើតឆ្នាំ1955ហើយបន្ទាប់មកអាប្រុសមួយទៀតឆ្នាំអាកាមើលម៉ែអាកាម៉ែរកអាកាកូនស្រីឈ្មោះនាងជូអាយុកាលនោះវា5 10 6 10
This noodle, yeah, it takes 3 minutes. Basically, just 3 minutes, the most.
I like it soft when it's with the sauce.
Yeah, because you don't have teeth.
You got that.
You want to say that again, Paul?
24 years ago, we might have not said these things, but we do now. We have lost a few things.
Yeah.
Ramivar has also come a long way, but she still lives with the grief she felt when she first arrived in Australia.
I didn't remember having informed or offered any trauma counselling or services to me or to anybody that I've known. Didn't manage to think much about the trauma. It was just about survival. It was a miracle that I managed to escape and to escape to the refugees camp and was accepted to come to Australia. And here I am in the country that's full of freedom and opportunity. Why should I be sitting here and feel sorry for myself? Your father, my father told me education is important. Education is the treasure. Why don't I reach for it? So I did a night course, work during the day, study at night, volunteering myself to do some work for the communities.
But others, like Kiang Pao, are facing new crises brought on by financial stress. And with that, the memories of the brutal Pol Pot years come flooding back.
Yeah, I think about the Pol Pot time. That's why I said I have to stand up to fight what is happening now about financial. I said, in Pol Pot, no food, no money, no hospital, no school, no medicine. I still survive. Why this time I have to let it go like that. I have to stand up to live. And I know Australian, very good country, the government won't let us live like Pol Pot.
The traumas of childhood under Pol Pot are deeply embedded in Kiang Pao, just as they were back in 1987 when she described the brutal methods of the Khmer Rouge guards who killed her friend.
So they tie her hand at the back, stand in the middle, in the center, so the children just sit around her.
Kiang then watched as the guards led the children, as young as 5, in a chant to kill or keep her friend.
They keep or kill, and the children say, keep. And they ask again, keep or kill. The children in the front, they say, keep. So they ask, keep or kill or keep. The children say, kill, because they always catch up the beginning word.
The guards then manipulated the chant to kill, not keep.
So they keep asking, kill or keep, kill or keep. So the children still say, kill.
You saw some terrible things.
Yeah.
Did you ever get any counselling or medical help for for what you went through?
No, never. But because of time, make me heal. Take time to heal what is happened in the Pol Pot regime. What I saw, what they did it to my friend, and what's happened to my brother. But last time I did not tell you, one of my brother, they bury him alive. But he's around 8 years old. He had malaria. He's sick. They bury him alive.
Kiang worked in Australia for 2 decades, sometimes at 2 jobs. But divorce and remarriage left her struggling financially. 4 years ago, she made the fateful decision to put up her house as security to buy a lease on a takeaway food business.
I used my house as a mortgage to borrow the money, 150,000, to buy the business. On the business for 3.5 years, the lease is finished. The landlord is a Woolworth. They don't give me the lease because got one of the Thai restaurants, they offer more rent. Yeah, I'm looking for work. It doesn't matter any job. One thing I can do it as long as I have income for my family living and pay off the debt, 150,000.
You want to hold the baby? You are baby too, you know that?
Pinny and Bun are comforted by the success of their children, but they have also recently lost a small business and their family home. Bun is a gifted artist, and when we first met him, he was working as an animator. When Bun's animation studio went offshore, he and Pinny ran a successful restaurant. But as the family grew, it was too much. Bun decided to take a risk on a new venture.
I had to do something for living, so I decided to run a small business, a hardware store. But unfortunately, after 2 years, 3 years, my business fell. So unfortunately, the bank took my house because we put the house for the equity loan. But I feel sorry for my family. But later on, I feel, compared to the other Khmer family in Cambodia, I feel much better than them. Every day, even I didn't have much money, but I still have a lot of food put on the table for my children, and that's made me happy. Every day, to me, is a bonus day, right?
Pinny kept her job as a community worker, but she was flattened when she had to tell her eldest daughter that their family home had been taken by the bank.
I told her when the first trip when she returned home to visit us after 1.5 years, and I told her that I just want you to look at that one. It's a lot because we worked together very hard to build that dream home, and yeah, she saw that before she went back, and it's happened. So we accepted.
As you know, we were uprooted. We lost everything. We don't have a home anymore. We didn't have anything, basically. Many of us who came here as refugees lost everything. Came with very few possessions. So many of us, as soon as we could save a small amount of money, we would actually put a deposit, would find someone to sponsor us to get a deposit to buy a home. And having a home is feeling belong, having a family, having the country that we no longer had.
You will embarrass them, you know that.
Having started in Australia as a machinist in a sewing factory, Rami is now working in mental health, training those who support the carers and families of the mentally ill.
You're cooking noodle on. It's a really, really fulfilling and rewarding job for me. I have been supported by so many people along the way after I have lost my parents. And my journey in my journey from there until now has always been that those who help me, now that I'm able, I need to help others as well, who are less fortunate than me.
Anne Weng is retired these days after a long stint as a forklift driver in Sydney. When he fled Cambodia, he still had hopes of returning to the news business. But his old boss, Neil Davis, had been killed in action just as Anne Weng arrived in the Thai refugee camp.
When Weng passed through customs,
He was finally brought to Sydney by an old friend of Davis. It was a journey that triggered sad memories.
Sydney television producer Gary Burns had to do the job that Neil Davis could not. Welcome Weng and his family to Australia. Wing hopes to find work in Australia as a sound man with a television network so that he can go on doing what his mate Neil Davis died for, television news.
Anne Weng has no regrets today about not landing that television job. Like many of his fellow Cambodians, he is amazingly grateful for being accepted into Australia as a refugee.
សពវាដូចឋានសួគ៌អញ្ចឹងមានខ្វះមានខាតអីហូបចុងអីគ្រប់គ្រាន់ពីព្រោះសប្ងៃហ្នឹងពួកយួនហ្នឹងគេហៅតែឥឡូវហ្នឹងសៃកងកាត់ប៉ាម៉ាតាសៃកងមើលគេអត់មានប្រកាន់ពូជសាសន៍ទេសប្ងៃនេះរាក់តាក់គ្នាស្រួលណាស់បាទគេ
I wanted to know what your hope for your granddaughter was.
ខ្ញុំសង្ឃឹមថាឲ្យវារៀនបានខ្ពស់ហើយនឹងរកការងារបានធ្វើដូច្នោះខ្ញុំអស់ចិត្តណាស់
For me, I don't go back to Cambodia for visiting holiday. Yes, but not go back. I love Australia. I want to live here, and I hope God will show me the way. You know, God won't leave me like this forever. Today and tomorrow is different. So I always hope one day I will get a good job, have a better life than this.
Coming here, being accepted, being given refugees protection, it's meant a lot to me. And I'm sure it meant a lot to those refugees who seek asylum here as well.
The best thing that I love this country, it's a freedom. Everyone equal. Doesn't matter you are prime minister or you are citizen. And especially I love the way they have a politics, the politicians in this country. Honestly, I admire and respect them. Even they fight each other in the parliament house. When they came out, they have a beer together. Unlike in Cambodia, when they fight, they come out, they kill each other with a gun, It's different.
For those who did not live through Pol Pot's crazed regime, it's impossible to imagine 2 million people forced at gunpoint from Phnom Penh and marched into the countryside, or 4 years of murderous dictatorship and the starvation that followed. For the families we spoke to who escaped this hell, today's divisive debate over refugees is disturbing. The political arguments, they think, ignore the reality on the ground.
To survive, to escape atrocity, persecution, human rights abuse, that's all we know. And the important is to look for freedom that we lost. We've been taken away by force, and the respect as human beings. So it is very important for the genuine cases, and I really see the way that issue being put into politics. It's really sad. It's really hard when become the game of politics, because it's a matter of human beings suffering, and we should not play with it.
I felt tormented hearing the debate. My heart feel really broken and shattered, because I know that those who are seeking protection are still being in a land or in a place where they are very much in danger of being extorted, being demanded for ransom. Someone could adopt them into the authority, because I went through that even when I already got inside the refugees camp. I had to find the protection. I had to find someone to help me to get registered with the United Nations in order to have food ration, to feel legally refugees. And for those people who run away, who escape from their own home country to another country to seek asylum, in order to seek asylum, they're still waiting.
I think the refugees should allow to live. If are a genuine refugee, they should allow to live in this society. Look back, we were refugee too. We came here, we worked so hard. And we contribute everything what we have. And right now, I don't want to say anyone else, as well, but my family. I have 4 kids, beautiful kids, good citizens. And I can guarantee they're going to be a good taxpayer for this country.
Like many refugees, the Ung family still gives thanks to the nation that gave them a safe haven. 3 decades on, it is difficult to fear or demonize these refugees who have become an integral part of today's Australia and whose children and grandchildren are helping determine its tomorrow.